I thought you said we're not doing that move.
I crushed you.
No.
I
thought you said we weren't doing that move.
I did it.
That move was outlawed.
No. Oh, I just proved that we might not be playing.
You pulled yours out of the console.
Shoot. Oh. Jeez. Oh.
I win. You pulled yours out of the console.
Yeah, I guess
that's a barred move. You can't do that move in this game.
Foul. I'll give it to you.
Not here. Not today.
I can use a coffee.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I got a coffee.
You do. I know
the winner should get a coffee.
The winner got one.
I'll get you one right after we're done here. How's everyone doing on Friday?
Happy Friday.
This says bliss. That's the kind of morning I'm having.
Oh, wow.
We're going to get right back into some cool stuff with our Dental Bite segments. We've got, again, are we having Bobby back?
Bob is our like a friend of the show, though. So he's like
our technology expert.
He kind of has a regular appearance on our show. Like he's our, we need sort of a title for him.
Our technology guru.
Yeah, I'll bring him on right here. How about that? Like, let's get him on screen here. There he is.
There he is. Everyone, give Mr. Bob Piercy a round of applause.
Hang on.
How you guys doing?
Hang on.
Good, brother. How are you? Oh,
it's not a very big crowd, but
does that look real?
yeah.
I'm good, man. I'm always good.
Good, man. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, it's Friday. Fantastic.
Yeah. How are things? How you been?
I'm good, man. No, thanks for asking. Yeah, just I'm actually supposed to go down to the U.S. In a couple of weeks into the month, and so I just this is out of the 2 years of COVID we've been in, this is the time that I just can't get sick.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna hide my basement for 2 weeks until I fly out. So
yeah, you gotta hide. No human contact.
Yeah. Good luck. I saw this meme, and it's Mario jumping around a level. And it's got all these little flame balls.
I've seen the same meme. Yeah, it's me trying not to get COVID
in December or something.
It's anyone who's not gotten COVID.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's brilliant.
I already fell in the pit of lava 6 months ago. So
you did, yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of lava around right now, so it's tough.
Mark, have you been hit by Cupid's arrow, or are you still?
You know what? I'm sure it's been through my system. I literally, I got the phone call from Tyler the day after he found out he had COVID, and we were literally this.
We were building this studio
for 12 hours. So I unquestionably, it's been the cove has been through the Cupid's arrow has been through.
Well,
my
it was
system.
a weird process because we thought, with vaccines, you're okay, well now we're vaccinated. And we're past the window of safety with vaccines, so we're both fine. And we've been around each other a lot too, so we're kind of and our circles are really small. So we, no matter what you're doing, because the goalposts are moving at all times. So you're well, am I doing the right thing? Are we okay to be around each other? Are we okay to have people in our space? And we thought we were following the rules, and then lo and behold, I get it. And we had been working together closely, building the studio, doing all sweating around each other because it was in the middle of July.
We were late
July.
We were just in our our tidy whities and sweating. It was just a moment.
I wasn't wearing.
It was just me. That's right.
And then next thing you know, we were in here on the Friday. I think we even took that photo of ourselves saying, upcoming. There's some cool new podcast stuff coming, not knowing that by the Sunday night I'd get a positive diagnosis. So,
after 14 days, there was new stuff coming.
Yeah. But I got through it fine. Like I said, my symptoms were very minimal. I credit my vaccines to that. Been going pretty hard at the gym the last year or two. So I think that I'm in good health, and I think that I'm lucky to get through it with just the sniffles, really, and loss of smell.
What about you, Bob? Have you been brushed or graced with the virus?
I have not been. I am pure. In regards to
a pure blood?
You think you're pure?
What is that? A muggle? What do they call those on Harry Potter? Harry Potter, a muggle? You're a muggle.
You're a muggle.
Yeah, pure blood human.
Isn't that a not? Oh my gosh! Isn't that a mixed blood? The muggle.
Let's go back a few years now.
Oh, mixed blood. If you've got the vaccination, I guess you're a mixed blood. Yeah, you're. Yeah.
I have AstraZeneca and Moderna, so I'm mixed.
We've been very fortunate to this point. In my direct family, there has been a few COVID positive cases within my family, though extended family. But I've got two young kids, and so they're both under the age of being able to be vaccinated. There was a bit of a COVID scare at my son's preschool before Christmas, and then of course we came down with the sniffles. I went and got PCR tested to kind of save him. I figured if I got it from him, that came back negative. All the tests we've done have come back negative. We had to get him tested later on. He came back negative. But we've had a cold go through our entire household. The entire month of December, we were coughing and sick. But again, every test was negative. So as far as I know, I've been fortunate. But my wife's going back to work here in February. So kids have to go to daycare, have to go to preschool. And then it's just kind of like, we're going to see if, the sacrifices we've made for the last 2 years have been for naught. And what happened. So
we've been like my son, he's 2. Well, he's gonna be 3 in February, but like it's been
You're in the same spot.
I think it's like 5. We've had 5 like emails. There's been an exposure in your son's class. You gotta isolate.
And I coach hockey, and it's kind of a mix. As we've been going through this, it's been really, like, I think at the start of this, like, most of the kids I coach were not vaccinated. And now they're getting vaccinated as the season goes on. So I voluntarily throw myself into the snake pit and you know what? Well, I've been vaccinated and I've had COVID. So,
and this one is like so much more contagious, right? So it's almost near impossible to avoid. And the fact that I think we sort of had a little like a false sense of protection with the, we needed the vaccine, obviously, don't get me wrong, but I think people thought they were invincible, and like we were under the impression that like we were like, that's putting on the shield, man. 97%, right?
Well, and that's the thing, is that, and that's where I sort of started this conversation, is that when I was vaccinated and we were working together and all of a sudden I got COVID, it was a reality check. Like, oh yeah, you can still get this thing.
Yeah.
Granted, my symptoms were very mild. But prior to that, even though I understand how the vaccines work and how they work in this scenario, I still felt like I was like, I'm not going to get it. I'm okay. I'm vaccinated. I'm good. And not remembering, oh yeah, you can still get it and you can still pass it on. So that for me was like, oh yeah, okay.
You know what? As long as we keep people out of the hospital, right?
Sorry, Mark, what?
As long as we keep people out of the ICU, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Going back before the vaccine was even available, I remember hearing on a conversation on a podcast, likely, people talking about what vaccines can actually do, and there's kind of like 3 outcomes for vaccines. Hey, my son's handing me a book here right now.
Oh, nice. What is it? What book?
Hey, Winnie the Pooh.
This is Wipe Clean Workbook, ABC 1, 2, 3.
Can you read us the first 2 pages?
Mark, I really hope you kind of know what the first 2 pages say, considering it's the alphabet.
I probably do know it. Yeah.
If you don't, this is something else we need to address. Look at this. Thanks, buddy. This is awesome. I really appreciate this.
Those are for being on the show.
We sent those to you. All right. This is awesome.
You're welcome for your free gifts.
You're welcome. Yeah. That's your swag.
This is swag for being on the show, guys. This is awesome. You guys are great. Anyone listening to this, you guys want to be on this show, the swag's amazing.
Hey, man.
You get a Winnie the Pooh. You get a Winnie the Pooh.
You got kids? We feel ya. Here's your Winnie the Pooh.
But anyways, so I think there's like 3 outcomes for vaccines. One is that a vaccine could prevent you from help prevent you from getting sick, but it might not affect, if you do get sick, it might not affect the mortality rate. You might just be just as likely to die from the ailment, but it might prevent you from getting sick. So there's the advantage. You're not going to get sick, hopefully. Or
the chances are higher that you're not.
The vaccine might not have any effect on you not getting sick. You might be just as likely to get sick, but if you do get sick, it would decrease the mortality rate, so there's less likely that you're going to die. And that's kind of what we're seeing, I think, in this Omicron phase. And then the third option would be that the vaccine would prevent you from getting sick, but also help prevent you from dying of the vaccine of the ailment. So those are kind of the 3 ways a vaccine could help you. And I think we saw that third option back with Delta. It helped prevent people from getting sick. It helped lower the mortality rate. With this Omicron, I think we're seeing people are still getting infected, but again, the mortality rate for those that are vaccinated is much lower. So I'm actually triple. I got 3 doses already, actually, because my first 2 doses were a mix, Moderna, Pfizer, and so then I was actually able to get a 3rd dose because the concern was that you couldn't travel internationally having a mixed dose that wasn't going to be considered fully vaccinated.
Right. And this has been Bob from Desktop Health with his latest
Talking about vaccinations.
vaccination.
Hey, this topic is not my fault. You guys
I know.
brought it
Hey,
up.
we brought
You
it
guys
up.
started
And you know
this
what's
It's a hot
conversation.
topic. What can you
You know
say?
what's so funny? And I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. Like, I'm tired of talking about COVID through business, like through family. Like, I'm kind of over it, but we're not allowed to be over it.
We're not allowed to be. But here's the thing: we were having lunch with a colleague yesterday, or sometime this week, and he brought up a really good point: is that some countries there's 2 steps in the process that they're including. Remember what we're talking about?
Yeah, the treatment.
The treatment. So it's like they have a. Now I forget what the first step is. It's where it's about contagion and making sure you're
it's all revolved around the 4 pillars, right?
right. So the 4. What did he call the first
I
pillar?
don't remember.
Okay, so there's one pillar. It's about trying not to catch. Obviously, try not to catch COVID.
Yeah.
But then if you do, the preventative. That's what it is. It's the 2 preventative steps where you're doing what you can to not catch it, and then the second step is that if you feel your symptoms coming on, and one example was to use a product called Biotine to sort of flush out this, obviously your, you help me out, like your nose, nasal cavity, this area with,
Sinuses.
this isn't an ad for Biotine. I'm just saying like a product like that where it sort of helps clear out this area where you might reduce the contagiousness of it, where you're kind of trying to rid yourself of a lot of the bacteria that's already in here that can maybe sort of speed up the contagion part of it. What's happening, and this is all speculation, this is all just discussion about, is that we're seeing those 2 steps are being missed, and we're going right to the hospital and sending people to the hospital first before they're trying to help remedy their situation at home with home healthcare, whether it's through doing telemedicine or what have you, to help try to sort of rectify the situation or remedy the situation before going to the hospital.
So what are they saying for us to do if we get it? Just drink lots of water and take some Tylenol, keep the fever down?
Well, they're kind of throwing their hands in the air. They're like, don't get tested, just assume you have it.
Oh, yeah, that's
and then
right.
it's like, okay, assume I have it. Well, now what do I do? Do I just stay home? Like, is there something I can do at home if I think I have it to reduce the spread? Well,
here's the situation that you run into. Like, you want to get tested so that your son could go back to daycare. Like, the challenge is now we got to live with this thing, right? And we've shut down completely already, and that I don't think is an option anymore. So, what do? You work with your son, grabbing at your feet, giving you Winnie the Pooh book, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my situation, my symptoms were very mild, so I didn't really have to worry about having too much bio stuff happening here. But if you do have a lot of sort of, and it sounds kind of gross, but like, if there's bio activity happening here, maybe there's more steps people can take at home to say, you know what, maybe I'm kind of flushing this out with some product, a saline type of product, to reduce the spread.
Well, part of like what the research is doing, like the researchers are doing out there, is developing more treatments too, right? So there's the
preventative.
Yeah, there's some pills coming down the line that are being developed.
Pills coming down. Yeah, we should hear something in like the next 10 days about a Pfizer pill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on from that topic.
All
now,
right.
shall we? Let's now talk about printers.
Let's talk about dentistry.
As we know, Bob is our Canadian go-to at Desktop Health.
Yes,
that's exciting. It really
is. It's really exciting. A lot of fun right now. So pretty cool time. Pretty cool industry.
Okay, so sorry to cut you off, but we want to jump in and talk about Flexera today.
Okay, absolutely.
Go.
Ready, set.
No, sorry, I cut you off, but I just sort of want to get us back on track a little bit because we're having some fun. So let's go into, we talked about this before. We want to talk a little bit about the history of Desktop Health, you joining the company, and then we will focus a little bit on Flexera today. I'm looking at the wrong spot. I should look at the camera. And just we'll keep our conversation to Flexera today because we can go into other products after today when we have you on again. So on that note,
sure, yeah, I'll do what I'll do real quick because I'm just gonna share my screen real quick.
Yes.
And first of all, just a bit of a background, real quick history on Desktop Health. So to really kind of discuss Desktop Health, there's you kind of need to go back in time to 2002 to a company called Envision Tech.
So when I got married.
Tech was formed back then. Sorry?
20 years ago. I remember at the start of the today we were chatting. I've been married 20 years. Holy crap.
And so EnvisionTech was founded in 2002. And that company existed for, again, almost 20 years, doing a lot of research and development on the printer side, but also on the resin side, the material side of 3D printing, additive manufacturing. Started off in jewelry, very quickly found out and found the dental industry and started growing. And anyways, at the beginning of 2021, last year, EnvisionTech was purchased by a company called Desktop Metal. So Desktop Metal, as its name implies, is in the 3D printing of metal components. They use the BinderJet 3D printing technology and
What's
others.
a BinderJet?
But again, BinderJet, yeah.
What's a BinderJet?
What is BinderJet? The way that an easy way to kind of think of BinderJet printing is to think of like a laser printer at home in your office. But what it does is it prints two different materials. So you have a base material, and then the BinderJet laser goes over top of it, dropping this binder, which is then semi-fired, semi-heated into a 3D component. The print bed then drops down by the layer thickness you want, and then again this printer goes back and forth, spreading this binder, and then you end up with a 3D box chamber, and your part's actually floating inside the material. So anyways, cool. That gets cleaned off. Then you have what's called a green part, which is a part that's metal but not fully cured. That goes into a kiln, into a furnace, where it is then centered, and then you end up with like a final metal part. So that's kind of binder jetting in
awesome.
30 seconds. But the cool thing with Desktop Metal is doing is really kind of taking 3D printing from the prototyping phase where 3D printing really developed and began as I need a physical part to fit a shape, fit a space, but I don't need it to perform. I don't need to have the strength or the flexibility of an end-use product. I just need something physical for a designer to hold, touch, and feel to kind of make sure it's like the design's right.
Mm-hmm.
What Desktop Metal is doing, and now Desktop Health, is really trying to develop 3D printing into what is going to be end-use parts. So now, one great application for kind of a cool application for the metal printing is the ability to print like outdated, out of production parts for classic cars. A lot of these parts, maybe some obscure part for a fuel pump or for a suspension component, is no longer being made. But again, you can now print it
right.
Using 3D printing technology, and you can create that. Whereas, traditional manufacturing of running foundries and presses and millwork just isn't cost effective. So phasing
a lot of that traditional fabrication process out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's kind of Desktop Metal. And again, so to expand on like the end use production of additive manufacturing, they acquired EnvisionTech, acquired the IP, the technology, and they wanted to get into the medical healthcare side of 3D printing and additive manufacturing. And that's where Desktop Health was formed. So Desktop Health really at this time is still just coming up on its 1 year anniversary of creation. And really, so we have Mike Jafar is our president, CEO. Cecilia Gora is our VP of marketing. And really, as the slide says, Desktop Health is a technology company that's shaping the future of personalized healthcare. And we're doing this in dentistry. That's kind of our go-to right now. But I was even on a call earlier this morning in regards to our bioplotter, which is another 3D printing device we have, with some really cool applications that we're exploring right now. And that's kind of up in the air. But again, the scope to what we can do with additive manufacturing is quite impressive. The leadership team that we have, again, on the screen, like they've got a huge catalog of previous experience bringing medical devices, medical technology to the consumer. You're going to see names like Botox, Cool Sculpting. There's Facebook in there.
Interesting.
And so they have this experience that they're now, bringing to the EnvisionTech founding technology. And so again, with the investment of Desktop Metal, hopefully the innovation, the adaptation, and the bringing products to market is going to accelerate. So this is a line of the printers that we kind of have currently. The D4K Pro, the Envision One, those are what you're going to see in small labs and denture offices, in dental clinics. And then you have the advanced, the P4K, the Extreme 8. These are larger production units. So again, larger labs, larger ortho facilities. And then again, you have the shop system, binder jetting. And again, 3D printing metal has a huge application for dentistry and medical applications. So whether it's supports for partials or other devices, the ability to 3D print is that's within our scope of work. And then again, this bioplotter, one of the applications, and you can find videos online showing this bioplotter printing patches for ruptured eardrums. So the patches printed.
Oh, cool.
And it kind of looks like those like Japanese fans, how they're just like two of those fans together for a circle, just for the structure of it. And then that patch gets injected with stem cells, placed over the ruptured eardrum, and then the body grows and absorbs. And so when it's fully cured, you have like a fully organic, patch for that eardrum. So we're not just printing resins, we're not just printing plastics, we're printing metal, we're printing bio products, and again now we're printing final restorations for dentistry. So it is very cool.
That Extreme 8 looks badass.
I'm sorry?
That Extreme 8 looks badass.
Oh yeah, I think it looks incredible. But you talked about Flexera earlier, and I'll just kind of jump forward here a little bit.
Your screen has stopped sharing, Bob.
I did that on purpose, actually.
You brought it back
Marc.
like
I appreciate that.
You crashed. You made it crash right back into the studio. But that's okay.
I know we're going to jump back into Flexera, but just on that last slide there, Bob, just to review. So like the Envision 1 and the D4K are geared more towards dental, and the other ones are other industries. Is that a correct assumption?
The Envision 1 and the D4K are I'll bring them back up here. These are the machines that you're going to see in dental offices, small laboratories, denture clinics. Yeah. Is the D4K, in Envision 1. The P4K, the Extreme 8, that could be, again, it all comes down to production. How much do you need to print?
Okay, got it. So those are for larger facilities.
The D4K has the smallest print bed that we have. The Envision 1 is larger. And then the D4K and the Extreme 8, again, their capacity is even greater. So you need to find out what capacity is reasonable for you. And again, that's going to affect the cost. That's going to affect the space. Obviously, the Extreme 8 is a larger unit.
And that's where
and Envision 1 can.
And that's where a phone call to you comes in to say, okay, we're moving to print technology. Like what? I need to talk to Bob to figure out what size of printer we need to get in here.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of, those are conversations that I like to have. Those are the fun conversations. And again, that's the fun part about business is like when you're looking to expand and grow. And how do we do this? What partners do you choose to work with? What's the technology? And again, like that's what I think we have an advantage because. I guarantee you in time, you are going to see, metal printing and other material printing, carbon fiber printing, in dental offices and in laboratories. Like it's just all it comes down to is cost. It needs to be cost effective. And as this technology continues to advance, then we're going to see that sector grow. So,
got you. Flexera.
Yeah, and actually, what's not shown on this slide here is we do have machines that do print carbon fiber and print other cool materials like that too. So
it's amazing. Like 3D printing is
so cool.
Is going to take over.
And it's always been like, even when years ago, I was trying to find my clients a material that had some sort of carbon fiber component to it. It was always difficult to find, and expensive product. Yeah. So coolio. Let's talk about Flexera.
Hey, Bob, can you ask the boys at Desktop if they can 3D print us some more comfortable chairs?
We're going to replace our chairs here at Dentist on Demand.
Oh man,
my back is sore.
Not like in there.
Oh geez.
They're antiques. So I bought these from a friend who was liquidating their warehouse, and I'm like, oh man, these are really cool chairs. And they're like, yeah, they're antiques. You're going to want to buy them. So we got them for a steal, but I think I know why they were so cheap.
They're stealing my butt my butt comfort.
It feels like you're sitting on steel.
Yeah.
You paid for them, but you're still paying for them.
I see where you're going there.
I'm going to the chiropractor right after this. Okay, Flexera, let's go.
We're done with the chairs. We don't need to talk about the chairs anymore.
Well, no. If you know a way to 3D print our chairs, Bob,
let us know.
Okay,
or at least you got a material for a cushy 3D printed seat that we put on.
It's definitely for a larger
printer. I'm gonna put that on the next.
That's the insane.
Maybe not Q3,
printer.
maybe Q4, Mark. Okay.
Yeah, we can take a 3D image of the chair. We'll send it to your people.
We'll
and
scan it.
We'll figure it out.
We'll use an intro scanner.
That's a fun desktop health. In Q4,
we should scan you, Mark. We should scan the person who's going to sit in the chair, so we could design it, for the.
You need a big
radius.
You need
I've got a big pink and white version of Mark sitting here beside me.
Yeah. I'll be just an automated robot.
Sorry, we digress.
You guys,
I got your next little slide
fine.
up here, Bob.
Yeah, you
Desktop
see that?
health. Flexera Smile.
Flexera.
I see it. Yeah. Tell us about this.
This is cool. This is the first venture. Well, not I guess. Currently, in terms of end-use products that have been printed in the past, you have there's sleep guards and whatnot. But really, in regards to revolutionary end-use products being printed, Flexera. So this is a Class 2 device. It is Health Canada approved. We got the approvals completed end of December. So we're just getting some paperwork and stuff filed, but really, it's ready to go. It is designed and indicated for a removable denture. Oh, thank you for the golf clap. Yes, the golf clap is much appreciated.
Health Canada's good.
Health Canada approved, yeah, absolutely. Currently, to date, there's over 100,000 Flexera dentures in patient smells in the U.S. So
how many?
It's been available in the U.S. for 100,000.
There's 100,000 dentures in patients. Sorry, say that again. I want to hear that number.
There's 100,000 Flexera Smile dentures
in
patients' mouths in the U.S. to this date, yeah. And so basically what we're doing is we're able to print a 3D denture in two components. We have a base material. There are 5 different shades of base materials. There's 6 shades of tooth materials. We're able to design it based off the scan, based off some pictures of the patient, obviously, and we can print this. And we can print this, have it kind of in the patient's mouth in about an hour's time.
That's so cool.
Wow.
In regards to performance, again, this is a cool thing where again, 3D printing is going from prototyping to actually end use parts and the performance of the material that you need to provide to do the job. Flexera is 3 times more resistant to fracture than competing resins that are earmarked for dentures, and it's also 2 times more resistant to moisture. So that's more resistant to staining. So again, it's going to stay aesthetic, stay beautiful, much longer than other materials that are going to pick up moisture and pick up stains. And again, so it's been in development for over 3 years. There's over 200 formulas that were studied and tested, FDA cleared, CE marked. One of the keys to the strength is the synthesized long chain chemistry. So again, if you think of rebar in concrete or fiber in carbon fiber, or so again, that's what allows it to give it the strength, the flexibility, but again, remain strong. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing and the key thing here too is because Desktop Health is developing printers and resins, is the marrying of the technology so that the materials act appropriately in the machine. Because when dentures are manufactured and produced, and Ty, you know this better than I do, in the past you're using heat, you're using chemicals to create the polymerization. Mm-hmm. Well, in this process, we need to use light. So we need a strong enough light source to make sure that it is cured properly, that the polymerization is happening. And the 385 is key to us. The 385 nanometer projector is very important. And I found even just more yesterday as to how important that is and relevant that is in our 3D printers. And again, that's what's going to allow us to make this material, but also future materials that are going to have other uses. Again, in the mouth, it's going to be for end use parts. So again, very cool stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a very beautiful material. The translucency. I've got a sample here with me, and again, this is like non-characterized. You can add character with any like light cured composite. So again, if you wanted to,
ooh, look at the translucency.
Yeah, so this is it's no joke, man. It's pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome. And so you can you said there's multiple shades for both the base and the teeth. Yep. And then you can characterize them. So if you need to, like, a lot of like typical products are like pink veined, like you want to add some characterization to both the gingival and the teeth areas, you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing you can do is you could actually take different shades of the base material, different shades of the smile material, and you could use that to characterize, because again, it's the exact same material, so it bonds and cures very well. But again, any light cured material for characterization can be used as well.
That is so cool. And like, it's just it's amazing how quickly how far we've come in such a short amount of time, because it's not that long ago I remember asking multiple manufacturers, when do we get a denture material? When are we going to get a denture material? Holy smokes, it's taking forever. And now here we are, and we've got products like this that are not only a Health Canada approved denture material, but a super strong one, which I think is going to have a huge impact on the denture market.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a doctor the other day in the US, and he said something like, and it blew my mind, that there was like over 100 million people in the US that are edentulous.
100 million?
Yeah,
I would say it is an astronomical number. There's a lot of people missing teeth, man.
Even more than that, like it almost 1/3 of the population.
They've got like 330 million people down there. So they were saying that 100 million of them are edentulous.
Well, I think it's a combination, right? So there's people who are fully edentulous and there's people who are partially edentulous, right? So I think that in the trend I'm seeing over the last few years is the trend away from full dentures, more into partial dentures. And I still think there's tons of full dentures being made, but I think that, again, partial dentures is going to be a big component to this because traditionally those are difficult to make because you have to support them with a metal framework. Then you have to put acrylic over top of it and put the teeth in. Making partials is hard. Mm-hmm. Making dentures is hard too, but like partials are, from what I've seen over the years, are especially tricky. So
and there's tons of different ways to do it.
Yeah, so if you can print a partial, that just takes so much work out of the process, and it brings the cost down significantly because you don't have to support it with metal now, and it's strong enough to go in the mouth. That's a real game changer. So when they're throwing numbers out there like saying 100 million people are edentulous, I think that the question is, are they fully edentulous or are they just partially edentulous?
They're missing a few chiclets.
Yeah.
Good. No, fair point. And one thing that's different between Canada and the US, what I understand too now is just how in the US more dentists do denture treatment than in Canada. In Canada, it's generally been outsourced to dental denturist offices. And again, it's simple economics. Taking 5 to 7 appointments to fit and test and realign a denture in a dental clinic. Unfortunately, to say is that the reality is it's just there's more cost-effective ways to fill that chair time than treating a denturist for 5 to 7 visits. We can do dentures now in 2 to 3 visits. You could even do potentially you could do it in the same day in one day. And again, because all you have to do is simply design it and print it. And I'm simplifying it, I know, but again, we're taking the human error out of it. We're taking the labor out of it, and we're coming up with like beautiful restorations. So it's
and
very exciting.
Like the GP right now is just sending it off to the denturist, and if they if they can facilitate some of these cases within their practice, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
well, you're adding a revenue stream that didn't exist before.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly. But getting back to the denturist as well, I think there's also, and we'll wrap this up here, Bob. I know we're taking up a lot of time today, but this is all really interesting stuff. In terms of so if you have a new denture wearer, I'm assuming these are fairly easy to realign because there is that process of when somebody starts wearing a denture for the first time, they have to get used to it. They have to come back to get them refit a few times. So I'm assuming realigning these is probably just like realigning a regular denture, I would assume.
Yeah, and actually, just part of the process too is simply you could just take the denture you have, and this is either design of the regular design process, or again, if you want to make an adjustment, use the denture as a try-in, as a custom mold, and put in new impression material, make the adjustment, and then simply rescan the denture with the after it's been used as an impression. And then you can make that adjustment very quickly, reprint it, and you're off to the races. So,
that's really cool. Being able to just go back into the software and spit out another denture. I mean, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's and again, looking at this, these are U.S. numbers, these are U.S. prices, but so really $12 U.S. to in materials to print a denture. So maybe that's $18 Canadian, right? Less than $20 Canadian.
I think it's 24.
For the cost of materials to print a denture. And so again, in regards to the economics of CAD/CAM versus the economics of printing, CAD/CAM is much higher cost of entry. There's much more waste in regards to CAD/CAM, and then again, for printing, maybe $80,000 for a mill. You're buying a printer for $25,000. Maybe $10,000 Canadian, depending upon what you need. And again, the material costs. Like Tyler, tell me what's a puck cost for a 5-axis mill to mill a denture?
A zirconia puck. I mean, you could pay $80 for them. You can pay $500 for them. I mean, it really ranges. Your average is, it depends. Canada versus, I mean, the cost is a lot lower in the US just because it's such a high volume commodity. But in Canada, You're probably looking at 150 to 200 for, a decent zirconia disc.
And there's so much waste in milling because all that material that you're cutting away is just you can't recoup. But with printing, the cost of material, you're only going to spend, again, less than $20 Canadian to print. This is one arch. This is an upper arch, but $20, like that's pretty
incredible.
appealing.
Yeah, for sure. And then maybe in our future, so we'll move to the next component at the next DentalByte, but a little bit of a teaser. Are you guys? You had mentioned that there might be a permanent crown material soon.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm supposed to go down to the States. That we've got some meetings here, end of January, early February. So we'll see what comes out of those meetings.
Okay, yeah, I won't put you on the spot like that. I think I just did.
But it's again like this is where we're going. Like 3D printing is going from a try-in, it's going from prototyping, it's moving to the end use production. And again, the big driving force right now is on the material side, is being able to design materials that can be printed and that can perform. And again, the fact that we do both, we manufacture the units and we're actually manufacturing the resins, the materials, is an advantage because again, Ty, think of all the things you sell, and if there's an IT problem and there's someone's camera versus someone's software, and you got people pointing fingers, well, it's this or that. With us, they're both our products, and so we know that they work very well together.
That's a huge advantage, and I've seen it many times where it's like, okay, well, we're not getting the predictable result we want. Is it the machine? Is it the material? And if you can control that process of having the machinery and the material all in one spot, it takes so many headaches out of the game. And this is the same with, like you said, with software, IT, when you're jumping softwares, when you're going from one design software to another, or from, it's one thing to get a deal, right? To say, okay, well, this software was cheaper than this software, but now you've got two different softwares and it's not a homogeneous software. Where does the problem lie? So that should always be considered when no matter what you're getting into, whether it's computers, technology, IT, software, and now here we are with printing, right? When you're jumping manufacturers, consider that. Think about it. Should I keep everything under the Desktop Health roof and keep it simple? When I know where the problem is, I can call Bob and say, hey, it's all your products, your materials. Tell us where the problem is. That's a lot of headaches you're saving.
Well, here's something. Just I know you guys want to wrap this up quickly, but just an example. Again, I was on a call yesterday with one of our technicians out in Germany, and so there's a build style. So a build style is basically a set of parameters for printing a material, and that kind of tells the printer different temperatures, different characteristics, it gives them rules as to how do you build this material, how do you make it work. Apparently, a lot of materials out there that are not manufactured by us will have, say, less than 10 components in the build style. So that'll be like layer thicknesses. We'll talk about viscosity of the material. There's like less than 10 parameters, where in our materials with our machines, we have upwards of 50 to 60. And the guy just he said take a look, and he opened this drop down box of all these different build styles, and it just like expand arrow, and it just dropped. It could have been over 100. But again, that's the difference between printing a prototype part. When you just need a physical 3D shape. If you want to print an Iron Man mask, all you need is like a hard plastic, hard acrylic. But when you want to print like a final use, end use part that's going to perform in temperature, in moisture, and pressure, there's all these. It's much more difficult to do that, and that's what goes into printing a product like Flexera. So it's actually going to work properly for the patient, for the clinician. And so that's
so when you say the Macho Man Randy Savage has joined us.
Yes,
so
awesome.
when you say build style, is that like a pre-programmed template for how something is going to get manufactured, like printed?
Essentially, like, and I honestly, we're getting to the point where I'm just repeating words that I've heard, and I don't really fully understand myself. This is kind of beyond me, but basically, it goes into the parameters of how the material, how the printer interacts with the material. And
Right.
so, for example, some material, just based on the chemistry, can't be printed at 25 microns. It physically can't for whatever reason. Some
Okay.
materials can't be printed at too thick of a layer. And also there's sometimes there's parameters that there's no point in printing a material too thin or too thick. And so the build style is just kind of the parameters in which the material is designed to be printed in. but also things that need to happen in order for print speed, for example, like in regards to separation forces, in regards to just the characterization. How do you make everything operate in the most optimal way? There, you need to know how the material is going to react. And some machines with some materials you can print faster because the material is more liquid, more viscous. Some materials are more sludgy, and so they react differently. And so again, that machine then has to print slower. And so if you're trying to optimize the performance, you need to have these rules in place so that your prints don't fail, so there's not issues with performance. And again, as we were told on this call, a lot of companies have less than 10, which is very, very simple. And so, but with the performance we're trying to get out of our machines, out of our materials, we have in the neighborhoods of 50 to 60, rules in our build styles. So again, that's just
I can see that. I can see that. What I compare that to is like when I was selling CAD/CAM machines years ago, and a lot of these scanners would scan on three axes, I should say. So, and then all of a sudden 5 axes came along. So it really added 2 more dimensions to what the machine was able to scan and also produce. So right. I'm assuming I'm drawing a comparison between what you're talking about with the build styles to traditional CAD/CAM, where when the day came along when it went from 3 axis to 5 axis, you just had 2 more axes to build things on.
Right.
Which with you guys, sounds like you have a wider library of build styles to make more to make more detailed products faster and more efficiently. That's what I'm getting at.
And we could go into so much more in terms of some of the technology that I could gladly share with you guys, but yeah, maybe on another call another time. But yeah,
Mark's giving you the exit music.
Guys,
it's like we're at the Oscars and we're getting played off the stage.
Guys, we've gone this is
I'm not done yet.
This is 3 DentalBytes here.
I know, Mark's we're talking about too much stuff. Well, that's fine. No,
it's good. All this information is very relevant.
We riff with Bob. Bob throws so much good information out there. It's hard to wrap it up. So
it's all good.
And we just like to chitty chat,
And we spent 20 minutes talking about COVID in the beginning. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget about the 20 minutes we were talking about Star Wars and Star Trek, too.
That was before. That was behind the scenes material.
This call has lasted 2 hours. It's good.
Yeah.
Now people are really wondering what's going on.
Yes. That's where you have to keep them.
Those are the special features. You have to dial. You have to give us the code. And we'll give you access to it.
You have to
subscribe, and then you get the.
We're gonna. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna set up a Patreon page, and you're gonna get all the behind the scenes.
That's a good idea.
But you have to be a Patreon subscriber.
So next time we have you on, Bob, we can probably get into cool stuff like the difference between DLP and SLA and open architecture and all that crap. I shouldn't say crap.
Yeah, there's
all that good stuff.
Do this back in February. Maybe there's more stuff to talk about from my trip down south.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're gonna have more products to talk about. I can probably bet money on that one. But even just getting back into because I get a lot of questions about printers, right? Like, what's the best printer? Why do I want this one over that one? And so when we start to talk about some of the more granular stuff, like, build styles and the size of your print plates and all that stuff, if you're not in the market to buy a printer, it's good stuff to sort of store in the back of your brain. Like, okay, I know a little bit about this by hearing Bob talk. But when you are ready to buy a printer, it's good to come back to these and go, oh, okay, cool. So there's actually some pretty important information here that I should pay attention to. And that's the value for us.
Yeah, the number one question, hey, why do you want to print? What do you want to print? And to be honest, if you're printing some stuff, maybe our machines, our materials aren't right for you. But if you're looking to print end-use parts, and really kind of get into it, I think it's worth a conversation.
Absolutely.
Cool.
We've got Bob's information on the screen. As you can see, his email address and his cell number are there. Bob, thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Friday.
And we will have you again.
Yeah, boys, have fun. It was great. Always fun. Thanks a lot.
Okay, man. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye for now.
Cheers. Are we signing off now?
We should be.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.